And welcome back to the Midday Show, a special Memorial Day show. We're going to talk about Decoration Day. You also want to talk about restrictions lifted. There is a bear governor we'll explain here in a little bit. And then one of Mark's crushes, we'll call him a crush. He's having some relationship stuff go on. So we're going to talk about that too. But Mark, how are you feeling on Memorial Day?
Wait, are you talking about J-Lo or Ben?
Well, I think Ben's a bigger crush for you than J-Lo.
Sure. Did you see Hustlers? I think it would be J-Lo. I'm good. We're a little late today because as we're sitting here, Jeff's like, Chrome won't open. It won't open. I don't know what else to do.
It's almost like, it is funny. It's almost like the electricity going out. Like when the electricity's out, like it's
You're
out.
just like, there's nothing I can do.
Right. It is what it is.
Right.
This is what it is. So, when you're doing a live stream and when Chrome wanted to open, like Chrome's not going to open. So we had to wait for Chrome to cooperate.
Yeah, it's like, you're like, everything else is ready. It just won't open. We're ready. And so
we're here.
So here we are. We're a little late, but happy Memorial Day. Or this is one of the weirder holidays because we don't.
It's what's funny about Memorial Day, and not to take anything away from what the holiday is supposed to mean, it becomes a travel day. Like Monday holidays almost always become a travel day for a lot of the country.
Buddy, I don't have any food, buddy. I don't know what to tell you today. It's just somber it's one of those days where the 4th of July-ish, but the 4th of July obviously has its bloody side to it, but it has its celebratory side to it because that was the birth of the nation. We fought for our independence, and this is not this is just a somber day of remembrance. And the more you think about what this day means, the less party-like and picnic-like it becomes. Decoration Day, I just learned this morning. I did not know this. It started out as Decoration Day back in like the 1860s as they went and decorated the graves of soldiers, especially like right during and after the Civil War. So that's how it started. And then it became Memorial Day. And as we went through time, obviously as a young nation, the Civil War was kind of the big one. But now as we've gone through World War I and World War II and Korea and Vietnam and all the foreign conflicts that they had, through time it became for all soldiers who were lost in battle. And I think it was an observed day, but it wasn't really a real federal holiday until like 1970 or something like that. I think it might have been Nixon who changed it. And there's something else. A buddy of mine posted this. Bill Clinton instilled something like we're supposed to have a minute moment of silence at 3:00 in the afternoon or something like that.
I've never heard of that. I mean, first, I'd never heard it called Decoration Day. So when you said that, I had no idea. But I've also never heard the 3:00 1 minute of silence.
My buddy just posted it yesterday, and he posted it, and he said, am I the only one that didn't know this? And immediately I was like, there's two of us because I didn't know it. And so, I mean, Clinton was, I don't know what year he did it, but he was 0 to 08. Okay. So, Clinton wasn't 0 to 08. No, Bush was 0 to 08. Clinton was 92 to 2000. Yeah. So it's been around a while, unless he had the wrong president, but I don't think he did. So, but anyway, it's the official kickoff to summer in a lot of ways. Yeah. So there's that, and it's usually the weather's nice, and it's not bad today, even though the weekend was yuck. But there's so many, from a societal thing, there's so many good things about it, but the actual day itself is just such a somber, it's a somber remembrance Memorial Day.
Yeah, let's talk about the restrictions being lifted since, holiday weekend. Like you said, the weather unfortunately put a damper on a lot of it. I don't know if people were as proactive as far as going out and participating in things in public events and I most of the time for me growing up, I don't know what Memorial Day was for you. For me growing up, it was the Grand Coal Festival up in Blossburg, Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah, that's what we did too.
Yes, and that was basically the Dorney Park of its time. So that was like Memorial Day weekend for me. But it is interesting this week, restrictions being lifted and kind of the weather dampening it. I think people were looking forward to going out with the restrictions lifted a little bit. And I think the weather kind of slowed that down.
Yeah, it's weird too, because obviously it's the last Monday of May, But today's 31st, so it can't be any later than this. I mean, we're essentially June.
Yes.
And so this should have been a gorgeous weekend just because it's later and later. It's almost into summer. And it was 50 degrees.
It was freezing.
It was cold.
That I was driving back and forth from Hereford to Blossburg, and it was like a 12, 15 degree difference. I got to Blossburg, it was rainy and like 42 degrees I thought you were going to say you saw snow flurries.
It was close. So at least today's good, and the sun's out, and 70 today feels like 90 after what we've been through. So it's just. But as far as restrictions go, I will give credit because so often with tomorrow being June 1st, and I had to keep rereading this. It's like, did they lift them last night or is it tonight? Because most of the times you would look and say, well, June 1st, let's do it June 1st. But because it's Memorial Day, I give credit to the powers that be to say, well, let's do it a day early because maybe we can help these restaurants and maybe we get, the people who don't have picnics and who don't have things to do. And I'm sure there's a lot of restaurants that aren't open today. So the ones that are open will probably be really busy.
Oh, I would hope so. I've found myself in the last week or so going out more and more and kind of just getting back in the swing of things. I know even like in a couple of baseball games, stuff like that, things felt more normal than before. Really, you know what's funny? Like as far as restrictions being lifted, when I came back and I told you that I had saw Beam at the downtown Williamsport, and I told you like it was the most normal I had felt. The last week or so has felt significantly normal.
Well, that's funny because as you mentioned baseball games, I went to the district championship games at Bowman Field, and they were the least normal things I've been to in a long time because we're dressing like it's a football game. And we're literally like multiple pair of pants. I've been to district championship games at Bowman Field where you show up in shorts and a T-shirt no matter first pitch is at noon or if it's at 8 p.m. under the lights because it's warm. And we were bundled and it was cold and it was dreary and the lights were on from about 2 o'clock on. And so, it's just typical for what we've had. And I hate to say this because they beat Montoursville, and I know Loyal Sock won district title. I think Newman goes today, don't they? But congratulations to Midwest.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they've ever won a district title. The school hasn't been around for that long because they merged.
Right.
But they threw a freshman at us who's good. And, they played, it was kind of an ugly game. There wasn't a whole lot of offense, and there was some breakdowns on the bases from each side. But, they are certainly not a long-standing power in anything because they haven't been around that long. And for them to come out and win a district baseball title must mean a lot to them.
They're a much larger school than people realize, too. Especially like here in Lycoming County, like in the Williamsport area. But I mean, they're like 4A, 5A, depending on the school. I mean, they're big.
Yeah, and I guess, it's something that we keep talking about. We've been talking about it probably for 20 years. I know up where you're from, they did merge.
Yes. Well, yes. They did like a half and half.
Okay.
They had 3 schools in the school district, and they split the one school and sent them to half. Okay. They split them up.
Well, and what Midwest, which was Middleburg and West Snyder.
Yes.
And they became together. But this would be like putting Muncie and Montgomery together. Like they didn't like each other. And they were rivals. And now all of a sudden you're like, oh, now we're friends. And here we are. And we're going to play together. And it's taken a little bit for them to get through this. Like, oh, we are on the same team. Yeah. So, it is interesting. But you would think as society moves on, and at least around here, like school populations are dropping.
Right.
So it becomes more and more practical and economically feasible to have these happen. And now, it's going to take building a new school. And, depending on where you're at, like the issue with like a place like Muncie and Hughesville could probably do it better. Muncie and Montgomery, because you'd have to put the school on one side of the river, and whichever side had to cross would be mad.
Sure.
They've joked about Montoursville and Loyal Sock, same thing. There's a creek going through there, and whoever has to travel is not going to like it. So geography has something to do with it too. But anyway, be that as it may.
Is that the one, because having not been born and raised down here, I've heard people say over and over again, Muncie and Hughesville should merge.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard Muncie, Hughesville, Muncie, Montgomery, because Hughesville's a lot bigger than the other two.
Yeah.
And Muncie and Montgomery could merge and make, but now that was also back when they only had four. If you're looking athletic-wise, they only had four classifications. So now the Montgomerys of the world and the Muncies of the world can compete again and can win district titles.
Right.
So because now everybody's in the district finals because you got 6 classifications. So you got 12 district finalists. It's, because it's watered down now. It's like so. I'm sure a lot of those places would be like, listen, if I had a kid growing up in Muncie or Montgomery, and I was like, if we merge, there's more competition for my kid to get on the field or on the court or, so we can stay where we are. We'll just be little and compete with the other little guys.
Yeah. I'll say this, having gone through it with Southern Tioga and kind of being like on the outskirts of it, but having an idea of what's going on. If you are going to merge, do it. Because Southern Tioga they kind of like dipped their toe in, but they didn't really bring it all together. And in my opinion, they're never going to truly benefit the way they should. So if you're going to merge, go 100% in, bring the schools together, and really do it the right way.
Well, it's like anything else. It's like starting a new job. It's like a divorce. It's like there is going to be an adjustment period. But when you get as kids grow up, the parents, it's harder on the parents a lot than the kids.
Because the parents almost have more of an emotional tie.
They do.
The kids do.
You take a 7-year-old and you're like, hey, you're going to school with this kid now from some place, and you're like, I don't even know where that place is. Right. And your parents are, losing their mind, and the kid's like, oh, whatever, he sits by me in class. So yes, I'm sure it would be interesting to talk about, the place like where you're at.
Yeah.
And Midwest and
Thank Weiss Markets. I'll take care of this guy.
Yeah, but I should have brought food. The dog. See, every time I show up, I have food, and the dog's my buddy. And today I don't have any, and he keeps coming over, and I keep letting him down, and that's just what I do. I let people down. I let animals down. I'm just
people down.
That's all I do. So thank you to Wise Markets. I'm sure they're a little bit swamped today.
Yeah.
I wonder. Well, at least the weather was accurate. We knew it was going to be crummy on Saturday and Sunday, so people probably use Saturday and Sunday to stock up, or then I'm sure people are making their last-minute runs for the things that they forgot. But thank you to Wise Markets for sponsoring our show and for providing all they do for the communities throughout, everything from groceries to pharmacy to bakery to flowers to COVID shots. So thank you. And lottery tickets. You can buy your lottery tickets there.
You can.
I will say this. I don't mean to be a negative about. I've bought my share of lottery tickets at Wise, and since I'm still here, obviously I haven't won. Nothing big. I've won.
It's
$3.
It's weird to me that you do the lottery because you're a math guy.
All you need is it's $1 and a dream, buddy. It's $1 and a dream.
See, the dream part, I guess, is what
I read this somewhere, and I totally believe this. It's like putting $1 in a jukebox. You're gonna have 3.5 minutes of a song. It's going to make you happy for 3.5 minutes, and it's gone forever. When you buy a lottery ticket, you automatically have that, what would I do if I won? And it gives you that fun little aspect.
I don't disagree with it. I've also been told that it's a tax for people that can't do math.
Oh, I heard it's a stupid tax.
I've heard it's a tax for people who can't do math. And I have to be honest, when it was like really explained to me, it kind of is a tax for people who can't do math.
I had a buddy once, because we were convinced you have to be 18 to win. And we were convinced, like, we're seniors in high school and we're going to start playing the lottery because we're going to win.
Sure.
So I remember, and I turned 2 months before my buddy, and we're filling out tickets. And he says, what's your system or whatever? And I was like, I look at the card and whatever numbers just jump out at me, those are the ones I fill in. And he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
And he looked at me as serious as could be, and he goes, well, you're never going to win that way. I was like, oh, and your system is going to win? Like, do you really think we're going to win?
Right.
I'm hoping someday I get like 4 numbers and I win. My uncle, once upon a time back, it used to be just the Pennsylvania lottery, and it wasn't nearly this big. Mm-hmm. And it would be like $1 million jackpot was as big as it got. Yeah. And it was one of those where it was super big, which was probably $10 million or whatever. Mm-hmm. He was watching the live drawing and had the first 4 numbers. Oh. And then he ended up with 4 out of 6.
Okay.
So he probably won, whatever, $25 or whatever.
Yeah.
But he was like, I was losing it. I'm going,
yeah.
and they're coming up, and he's like, oh my God.
You'd be
And
losing
then
your mind.
4 out of 6, yes. I'm sure he had to change his shorts, and I'm sure that there was, but yeah, that would be fun.
Thank you to Moon and Raven. Thank you to Eat and Run. And also thank you to the Break Room.
Yeah, I forgot to do that. We have $25 gift card, a $50 gift card, a $100 gift card from Wise Markets, plus all the places. I tell you this, not to give out another free plug, because we end up doing this here. I was talking to someone in the real world business-wise about just things, and they're like, if we ever need a caterer, who I'm using? Eat and Run. And I don't know if they watch the show, I don't know, but they're like, we've used them before, and they're fantastic. Yeah. So it was just interesting. I was like, I know Eat and Run. And we had Eat and Run here when we had our 2-year celebration catered, but it was just right. It just rolled off the tongue. Who I'm using? Eat and Run. So, yeah. So there you go.
Perfect. I think I had the bacon ranch wrap, maybe.
See, I'm not a ranch guy, so I did not. I went the other way. I had the ham and Swiss, I want to say. I don't remember. But anyway.
Join the Midday Show group for a chance to win. Our random winner today from the Midday Show Facebook group is Joe Tire.
There you go.
Joe Tire. Do you think it's a company, Joe's Tires?
I don't know. That's
he just forgot the S's?
It's interesting.
All right, here we go. Joe's Tire.
Funny because when we were kids and you're just being obnoxious and somebody yeah, you're just like Joe Football.
Right.
So I wonder if this guy is just,
maybe he's just
Joe Tire. Joe Tire.
It's possible.
All right. I'm going to get up and spin this with all my oomph because, you make fun of me when I don't.
That's true. I do.
Are we ready?
We're ready.
Are we ready? Here we go. Do you want, I did go 3 for 5. Oh, should I give my week's prediction?
Go ahead. I cannot believe you said you were going to go 3 for 5 and then hit your first 3.
I really feel like I'm going to go 3 for 5 again. I feel like I'm good at this.
Okay.
I feel like the Atlanta Hawks right now.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
Oh, I thought I almost shook the thing off. No, that's a bad start. That is a bad start. Atlanta Hawks, no.
Sorry, Joe Tire.
Before we move on, give me a dark horse from the NBA. Now that you've seen a little bit of the playoffs, I mean, we know all the teams that are top. Give me who could get to the finals that you wouldn't have said that 3 months ago.
3 months ago, if Phoenix is healthy, Phoenix can get. The problem for Phoenix is they got to get through this Lakers series in the first round. If Phoenix stays healthy and they get through the Lakers, they could make the finals, and people would be kind of like, how? Even though they're the second seed. I just don't think anyone takes them seriously. They
haven't since Barkley left.
Yeah, they're younger. People haven't, but they are fantastic.
Well,
they're
the Lakers
really good.
The Lakers are in trouble now that what's his name got hurt.
Anthony Davis.
And did you see the numbers as to when LeBron is on the floor and when he's not?
Oh yeah, it's out of this world. So I think in the West, I think it's Phoenix. I'll tell you, and we talked about it in the East. Like if you're really picking a dart, like a true, like the Atlanta Hawks. I told you on the phone the other day. They're not. There are teams that are more top heavy than them. Like if the Lakers are healthy, they have LeBron and Davis. On the East side, the Nets, Alizé's team, they're top heavy. The Sixers are top heavy. The Bucks are top heavy. But 1 through 10, I don't know if there's a team more talented in the league than the Atlanta Hawks 1 through 10.
And you talk about, we were joking about this on the phone yesterday. A team that no one ever takes seriously is the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, yeah. I remember all the way back to the Dominique Wilkins days, and they had the human highlight reel, and they'd get in as a 7 seed, and then they'd get bounced because they didn't really guard people back then. That was Dominique. No. Dominique didn't work that hard on the defensive end.
Probably not.
No.
But, so the Phoenix people could make money on the Phoenix Suns right now because you could get really good odds for them, and they have a really good chance to make it. Especially now that they're probably going to get through the first round. Now that Davis is hurt, they're gonna wipe the second round because they're either going to play the Blazers or Nuggets. So they're already in the Western Conference Finals, and they have a really good shot to be.
So wait, are you saying if LeBron throws on his cape and carries the Lakers through this series, he's going to make the final?
Like I said this to my cousin. Either this counts for LeBron or it doesn't. Because there's going to be people who say, oh, Davis got hurt. Like it's not his fault, everything else. Well, that's okay, because if he wins, everyone's going to be like, oh, that LeBron, boy,
Exactly.
I can't believe. Okay, but it can't be both ways.
Yes, it can.
It counts or it doesn't count.
He's 36 years old. How old
It counts.
is he? 36?
35, 36?
He's old, and he's going to play 48 minutes a night.
It's got to count or it doesn't. So if he loses, it's a loss. He didn't get them where they needed to go. It cannot be both ways.
Single-handedly
No.
hop on my back. And when do they go? Tomorrow night?
I think they play tomorrow. Actually, it might be tonight.
Didn't what's his name just get hurt yesterday?
Was it yesterday or the day before? My last 5 days have been a blur, and you know this. Either way, I think Phoenix.
Yeah, it must have been, because I saw it wouldn't have been the prime time.
No, because this is the irony. You know, Chris Paul got hurt at the beginning of the series.
I know that he really played well. Yes. Well, they wasn't supposed to. The coach said he wasn't going to play him.
No, he I'm pretty sure he should not have played the last 3
He kind of begged his way into the lineup
what's
yesterday.
Funny is Chris Paul gets hurt for the Suns, but nobody would have taken that away from if LeBron James won the series. Like if the Lakers would have won the series, like they were just better than the Suns.
Hater, you're a hater.
I'm not a hater. It's just the reality. That's part of this whole LeBron thing. Like you can't. He gets to have it both ways, and I don't understand it. If they lose the series, they lost.
All right, I'm trying to find the NBA schedule. We can move on here. Oh, here we go. Scores. Today, Sixers, Wizards at 7. Jazz, Grizzlies at 9:30.
That's a good transition right there.
3-0, 2-1. And then the Lakers, Suns go tomorrow night at 10 o'clock.
It's been a great series.
I'm going to have to check that one out.
The playoffs have been fun to watch this year.
Tomorrow night, TNT, 10 o'clock. I might have a date with TNT at 10 o'clock.
That's perfect.
I'm pumped.
That's perfect. Don't bet on the Hawks to make it. They got to get through too many teams in the East. But Phoenix could get there.
And now the Hawks don't go again until Wednesday, right?
Yeah, they get some time off now.
Yeah.
Speaking of, you said Jazz and Grizzlies. Speaking of Grizzlies, there's somebody that is running for governor who basically it's not a pet bear. How do you describe
No, he hired it. It's I heard this. Where is your dog out there now?
He's okay.
I heard this on Bill Maher that they're having this runoff election in California for governor.
Yes.
Which that's how Schwarzenegger got it. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago. And kind of everybody and their mom can throw their name in the ring.
I would argue everybody and their mom is throwing.
They might have. So this guy who's run for stuff before, his name's John Cox, and he's a 60-some-year-old businessman. So his whole slogan is "Meet the Beast," and they have this 1,000-pound Kodiak bear wandering around behind him, and he's a bear that was born in like a zoo, and he's acted in commercials. He was on Yellowstone with Kevin Costner.
Yeah,
he was in some series with Jason Momoa that's on like Apple TV.
And real quick for people, because we don't have like a video or like a great picture. This bear is massive.
It's a huge bear.
It's not an average bear.
No, it's 1,000-pound bear.
Massive.
So the guy's talking, he's wandering around. There's a big picture of the bear on the side of this guy's tour bus. And now, of course, the people are going nuts. They're like, it's not it's a living, breathing creature. It's not a prop. Yeah. Like, this is ridiculous. Let the bear alone. And they're like, this is the only way you can get attention. And now apparently the guy's complaining that the bear has stolen his thunder. They're like, you have a 1,000-pound bear walking behind you at your speaking engagement. But this is the double-edged sword when you have 150 people running for governor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You have to get attention somehow,
yes.
And he's gotten it. Now, his biggest problem is he's a Republican in California.
Yes.
Which is hard. But Schwarzenegger was a Republican in California, and that's how he won his runoff. He won the runoff. So it's kind of apparently in runoff gubernatorial elections, all is fair. And you have a 1,000-pound Kodiak bear wandering behind you. You're going to get attention, but you're going to get ridicule, and he got both.
I've always thought this. I thought Schwarzenegger had almost like an unfair advantage in the runoff because just because he was a celebrity. Like there's lots of celebrities.
Say because he was the Terminator,
no,
which is why.
His voice. Because when Schwarzenegger speaks, you listen. And sometimes you don't listen for the right reason, but like you can't ignore, like when he says something, you're just listening to it the entire time because it's so different and it's so unique and it's Schwarzenegger. And I've always said, like in a runoff, like to your point, I've always thought that was like his greatest advantage. Not that he was the Terminator, not that he was like a celebrity. His greatest advantage was just his inflection, like his voice.
Was it better that he was Terminator or Kindergarten Cop?
Oh, Kindergarten Cop. Kindergarten.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought of that because he does, like, he's very understandable.
Yes.
But he's still got that foreign accent that you have to listen.
Yes. So in a runoff where it's like you're drowning in voices and everything else, like everybody listened to the Schwarzenegger clip because like you have to listen to him.
It's a great name too.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked, you know, Schwarzenegger has a ring to it. You know, we've talked about locally, like Derek Slaughter has a great name for public recognition and when he was running for office.
Right.
There's a ring to Schwarzenegger.
Yes. There's a clip in the movie 2012. Have you seen this? The Apocalyptic, John Cusack, the apocalyptic movie. And before everything goes to crap, Schwarzenegger is on the TV talking to the state of California. And it's based, and he says something in his voice, and I can't do the accent, but he says in his voice, we believe that the worst is over. And then like the earthquake starts shaking and it starts happening. But I've always like in my head, I started laughing because I was like, I think people like would believe him. Like I think if Schwarzenegger got up on a podium.
He's come back in time. Like, of course you would believe him.
I'm just saying though,
he's
like
traveled through, you know, and you probably don't know this because I'll tell you. And we've got off the Bear governor thing, and I mean, that sounds ridiculous. So we'll get to Arnold Schwarzenegger's governor. There was a list. They make all, you know, the world is full of lists now that the internet is here.
Right.
And the Terminator is like the only movie character who shows up on the greatest heroes and greatest villains of all time. Because from T1 to T2, he went from being bad guy to good guy.
Which one's better?
It's a good call. I like them both.
Okay. It's
a good call. I like 2, I think, just because you kind of want to root for him anyway.
Terminator is one of those, but actually the whole series for me, it's a movie I've never seen in sync. I've seen both of them. Right. I've just never seen them as a whole movie. I've always like caught the first half an hour. I caught the back hour. So I've seen the whole thing, but I've never seen any of them in one fluid motion.
It's been a while. That would be some like, maybe this summer I might sit and watch them both back to back.
The recent ones I didn't really get. I didn't felt like they were swings and misses.
Yeah, I agree with that. I thought the first 2 were fantastic though.
I don't know, as far as the Bear governor, I was thinking about what would be my gimmick. Like you brought this up to me yesterday, and I was trying to think like if I had a gimmick or like what to do, and I couldn't really think of like a comparison or like something.
You would just dribble a basketball the whole time.
You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, I could.
You'd be like Chuck from Happy Days.
I can juggle.
You can juggle?
I can juggle.
Then you would be a circus clown. Like
you can't juggle. If you're a politician running for office, you can't juggle. So I don't know what it would. I don't know what it would be.
I think you would dribble. That's what you do. Spin a ball on your finger.
That's kind of clownish too, though.
No, that's cool. But with basketball, it's cool.
No.
If you spin it on your nose, now you're a seal. But if you spin it, and then that's good.
Tell everyone about your affinity for Ben Affleck.
What's not? I just found this was interesting as I was clicking through looking for stuff. Obviously, Ben and J-Lo are now back together because everyone knows it. If you you've seen the movie Hustlers, right? I've told you to see this.
Yeah, I think it wasn't that great.
Well, it was based on a true story. That's why I thought it was clever. She looked good, and she was like 50,
sure,
which you don't appreciate because you're like 33. But wait till you're 50.
Okay.
So anyway, be that as it may. What I found interesting about this is I was just scrolling through stuff that apparently Jennifer Garner has banned her children from meeting J-Lo.
Oh.
And when you read through, I was reading through that the tabloids just had J-Lo, her and her kids were getting on a plane to supposedly go spend the weekend with Ben, wherever they're at. But the day before, she was spotted having coffee with Mark Anthony,
Yes.
who was her husband, that's who she has her kids with.
Yes.
And they both co-parent very well. And the story said that Mark respected A-Rod and he likes Ben.
Okay.
Because they've been in, whatever. So you go to the flip side of it, where her ex is saying, yeah, she's going to make good decisions as a part, with the kids, and she's going to whatever, and I respect it and I support it, and I like Ben.
Yeah.
On the other side, Jennifer Garner apparently said no, which I don't know what her legal rights are to say no, but it is funny because as she says, Ben always talked about my time in my life when I was with J-Lo was a disaster. And she's been married 3 times. And they cited Ben's lack of successful track record with the ladies. So Jennifer Garner's like, she's not going to be around very long. This is they're both.
So why get the kids?
So I don't want to get my kids involved. So whereas immediately on the surface of it, it sounds like jilted ex who's just like trying to, when she's like, wait a minute, like this ain't gonna work. Look at your history. Yeah, I'm not sure how long ago they split up. It's a good question.
Okay, no, that's an interesting one. I've never thought about. My parents were always together. I don't have a ton of experience with it, but I've never thought about the idea of like your kids meeting the other significant other.
It is.
I've only ever thought about it in the sense, like if I had kids and I got divorced, I've only ever thought about it from the sense of like me introducing somebody to them. I've never thought about it from the idea that my ex would be introducing someone to them.
And it is the big, whenever you talk to people, and I've gone through this myself. So whenever, as people just make it like black and white, like if you're unhappy, leave. And you're like, well, it's not that simple because now, especially if you have kids, you have a significant other who you have no say over who they bring into their lives.
Right.
Once you've decided to go your separate ways, and so it's like, and whoever they bring into their lives, they're now bringing into your kids' lives. Well, and that becomes the stickiest part of the whole saga.
And not only really your kids' lives, but really your life.
Correct.
Like they in an estranged, convoluted way, they do become a part of your life.
Because they affect your kids.
Yeah. Well, you're going to hear, let's put it this way. You are going to hear their name consistently.
Correct.
Whether you want to or not, you are going to hear their name.
Well, they're going to have an effect on your kids' lives.
Yes.
And anything that has an effect on your kids' lives has an effect on you. But here's the thing, as many people, they could have a positive effect.
Correct.
Depending on who the person is, because it's a step.
You're just not picking it.
You don't get to pick.
Right.
But yeah, there are step parents who have had wonderfully positive effects on stepchildren, and ones that have had bad effects on and it's just. But yeah, you're right. You just get to stand by, and
it's really
you have to ride it out.
It's really one of the only parts of your life where you don't get to pick you don't get to pick your kids' teachers always, but like you have an idea of like the school district you're going into, and this is like one of the only things where like you don't really have a say in what your kids are getting.
No, except Jennifer Garner is saying that her kids can't meet J-Lo. But it is weird. It's one of life's interesting, and it's from the other aspect, it's like when people get into second marriages, and now you've not only, you're not only dating this guy or this woman, and now they have their kids, but they have an ex, and that kid has parents. So now and that's what makes, adult life complicated when the first marriage doesn't work. And you know who's well aware of that? J-Lo.
What is she on now? 3?
Apparently she's been through 3.
But what has Ben?
Well, didn't one last? I thought she was married to somebody for like 20 minutes.
Oh, that I don't know.
Ben has been, I don't know. I don't know if he's been married however many times. He was married to Jennifer Garner, but he's been through them.
As a fan, are you like a part of you's got to be a little worried about him?
About Ben?
Yeah, like as a fan.
I
How old is he now?
He's got to be 50-ish.
And just, I don't know, just kind of bouncing around.
I mean, he's a Red Sox fan, so you got to keep that in mind.
I'll keep it in mind.
They're all little. I don't know. I think a lot. I think Hollywood's an important. Like Matt Damon, for whatever reason, married his high school sweetheart or whatever, and he's stayed very much out of the tabloids, and he's been married for a long time. There's some people who've done it. Tom Hanks has done it.
Yeah.
But it's a tough world. You're never home.
It is tough.
You're always pretending you're somebody else. Like the people who make it, it's
hard.
It's hard.
You would know this better than I would. The lead singer of Counting Crows.
Yeah, I know who you mean.
What's his name? I can't think of his name.
Isn't it Gavin?
I can't think
I know who he is. I can see him.
He was on a podcast with Bill Simmons, and he was talking about when he first made it. He dated a ton of celebrities.
Why wouldn't he?
Early on, right? And well, that was his whole thing. And he was like, people like hated me. Like people were mad because like, oh, he's with so and so, and like, and he was like, I was just living my life. Like how do you?
He was living the dream.
Yeah, he was living the dream. But his whole point and kind of what like you're getting with is like,
it starts with a D. I want to say Dershowitz, but that's not it.
But his whole concept is what you're hinting at. Like it's such a different world, and once you step into it, you almost have to make a choice. So like if you're Matt Damon, the choice was like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm keeping that part over there, and I'm married to my high school sweetheart, and this is what I'm doing. Whereas for Ben Affleck, it was like, I'm in and I'm doing this. And now, I'm not saying those marriages will never work, but we've come to find out like very rarely do they work.
Well,
it almost becomes a cycle.
When Mike first made the big leagues, and I was, sitting in the crowd, and when Mike first made he was right at college and he was single, and I'm sitting in the family section with all the wives, and I was shocked as to how many wives they went to college together, they went to high school together. Now you get to kind of like the superstar guys who had, but even a lot of those guys were with. I remember Paul Mero's wife was from college.
Yeah.
And he would have been a Hall of Famer if it wasn't for his Pete, And now there were some guys that got there and then they did the single life. Derek Jeter never got married till he was done. So there were guys that did that.
But I feel like there's not a lot of middle ground. Like you either stepped into that forum of dating where like you are now a celebrity and you are now in this dating world and this is what you're doing, or you kind of hold on to whatever makes you feel balanced or whatever like kept you or helped get you there. There is not a lot of middle. There's not a lot of like.
Well, just imagine like if you win the Powerball tomorrow. No, you have a girlfriend, but pretend you did. So you win the Powerball and you have $200 million.
Okay.
And now you're walking down the street and you meet a normal girl. Do you have any idea if she likes you or she likes your $200 million? So you go date someone else where money is no object. And that's why all these celebrities date other celebrities, because it's okay if you met someone who knew you when you were a schmuck.
Right.
But if you're now not a schmuck and you're this rich and famous person and someone likes you, relationships are hard when it's just two schmucks.
Sure.
When it's you're just nobody from the neighborhood. When you're at such different socioeconomic levels,
yes,
there's always that in the back of your mind. And how, if you're the poor one in the relationship, how do you look at the other one and tell them they're out of line when they have $200 more million? It just becomes, if you didn't know each other before, I can see why it's really hard.
The only time I forget who I was talking about this with, but the only time I've ever seen it like work is when the poor person has a passion. So whether they are a college coach, they are a teacher that just loves it. They have some type of profession that they are just totally ingrained in and is their passion, and they love it so much that they're not even worried about the money. Like they don't even see it. They would rather be ingrained in what they're doing over here that they don't. It's almost like that's the only time I've ever like seen those relationships like actually work, where you have somebody that's a celebrity or rich or famous, and they tend to date somebody that's out of that socioeconomic Because if that person isn't locked into their passion, there's just no way it will ever work.
Well, the other thing too is if money's no object, and which you and I can relate to every day, and so you get to a point where you have a bad day at work, you're just like, what do I need? So I quit. Or if you get to the point where how many people there are lots of people that are stuck in bad relationships because they can't afford to get out of them.
Sure.
So, but then that also means that they have to try a little harder, and they try to work things out, and they try to make things amicable. And as relationships, they talk about the struggles and they go through cycles. And if you can get through, to the golden years and blah, blah, blah. So, but just think with these uber rich people that they're just like one fight. They're like, I'm calling my lawyer, and then everything's taken care of, right. And they don't need it. And there's no financial hit because the finances is bottomless. So they can have that house. I'll keep this house and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just mad and I'm going to go away. Does it make life so easy that it's easy to quit things that the rest of us can't quit?
Well, yes, because what I would say with, and what you're hinting at is, like, how much of marriage is a financial decision? Because people, like, I'm not saying people aren't in love, and I'm not saying people don't appreciate their significant others or whoever they tie the knot with, but like, it is a heck of a lot easier to get through this life with two incomes than it is to get through this life with one. It just is. As somebody who has I've dated and all this stuff, but like, when I'm single when I'm checking my boxes on everything. And when I want to get something, like, it has been full 100% until recently. And I used to joke with my sister all the time because she got married a while ago. And I used to joke with her all the time. I was like, what you and your husband are able to pull off versus what I'm trying to pull off, you guys are just light years ahead of me. Because it's just like, you guys order something, and like, if you want that TV, it's half off for you. Like, it is what it is.
When she got married, because she's from Blossburg too, was it arranged? How did they do that up there?
No, are they arranged?
They're not arranged. The family didn't get together, and like, there's not a dowry.
There's certain directions you're allowed to go, and but the point I'm making is, like, I think it's much more of a financial decision than what any of us would be willing to admit. Well, because it's all about love and the church.
No, I get that. On the flip side, I've talked to lots of people who ended up staying together because they're like, if we split, I can't go anywhere. I can't afford to get a place that's big enough to house me and 2 or 3 kids. And so there's a lot of people that end up staying together because of finances.
Because why else would you, like, this is what I'll say. Why else would you get married? Like, if you really, no, just hear me out. If you really,
I hope your girlfriend has stopped watching at this point.
If you really like the person, right? Like, imagine if there was no construct called marriage, right? Mm-hmm. Nothing would change. The only difference now is like your finances and your prenups and like everything else.
And you can visit them in the hospital.
Yeah, that's true. What else is there? What else am I forgetting?
No, I mean, inheritance. There's, like, you're right.
Inheritance is a financial motive.
Oh, there's lots of. I'm with you.
It's weird how I just think it's more financially than what anybody wants to admit.
Well, when people joke, and when people in the dating world and your age, when they're like, when you get married, things change. Like, I'm sure there's lots of people that it didn't, but there is an aspect of, and I've talked to people who've dated for years and years and years and years and years who never got married. And they're like, well, it's like, you do have to try a little harder when you're just dating, because the breakup is simpler. It doesn't take lawyers and thousands of dollars and anything like that. If we're just dating, we're just like, I'm leaving and I'm not coming back. And so there is a psychology to that too. Yes, you could certainly go through a long-term love affair and never have a ceremony and a legal piece of paper that makes you husband and wife.
Yeah, I agree.
Is that what you're leaning towards? Does she know that?
I'm not implying. I'm not implying that that's what I'm leaning towards. I'm just saying a lot of times in society we tend to hide. It's almost like we can't come out and say that. Like, if I were to come out and say that, like, let's be honest, marriage is a financial decision, people would just be like, "Oh, you're cold-hearted."
Well,
or,
yeah, that is a little cold. But I get what you're saying.
But that's my point. Is like, well, no, like it kind of is, because I could do what I'm doing with the person I like or love. I don't need the piece of paper. I need the piece of paper because financially it puts us in a position where we will be better off.
Incidentally, and I know no one's listening anymore because we've babbled for a very long time. I had a dream the other night that you sent me a text and said, I just want you to know I got engaged. So that's how exciting my life is, that I'm dreaming about getting texts from you, but I did have that dream.
Yes. Real quick, we'll run through these topics before we go. Jordy says, what's the topic? The topic is, what was the topic that we just discussed?
With J-Lo and Ben?
J-Lo and Ben.
Oh,
somehow
and Jennifer Gardner said J-Lo
and then we
can't
went
meet
into
the kids.
socioeconomics and relationships, and then it's just a stream
and
of
something
thought.
About the Phoenix Suns. We got everything.
A stream of thought. I don't know this lady. People marry first time for love and second time for money. So there you go. That's the word.
How many times has she been married?
Once.
She's saying
once. And then I shared earlier that doesn't even sound like a real person. And then we have Lee. Happy Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day, Lee. Thank you guys for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you're enjoying Memorial Day. Your decoration day? Decorative
It was
day?
Decoration Day once upon a time.
Your Decoration Day. Thank you to Weiss Markets. Be sure to go there for all your grocery needs. And thank you to my dog for being so patient. Thank you to NorthcentralPa.com.
It's not. I did not bring food today. It's not really the dog's fault. It
could be though.
It's a little Pavlovian. And the dog sees Mark. Mark has lunch. Mark had no lunch today, and the dog is upset.
His jowls were just
my
filled. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina, and we will be back tomorrow with another midday show.
Assuming Jeff's Chrome fires up.
Assuming my Chrome fires up. We'll get her going.